regarding Apple, I have one more question. And one thing that Apple shareholders are always hoping is to see in the near future, they want to see Apple car. So what kind of chance do you see for Apple to make a car in the future? Do you think it is happening?
Oh, we believe it's a matter of when, not if.
Wow.
So I believe it's a foregone conclusion that that will come. I think they ultimately partner at first with the likes of, we've talked about VW, Hyundai, potentially Ford, Lucid as a potential partner. But Apple's not going to miss out on the biggest transformation to the auto industry since 1950s, especially on full self-driving. That's going to be a big focus. I don't believe that they produce the car themselves. I believe that they partner. But to be clear, I believe it's not even a question that they eventually come out with the Apple car.
So it's a matter of when. So which year?
And we believe 2025 is when they ultimately, that will hit the road for sale.
All right. So we should buy more Apple shares tomorrow then.
Well, look, I mean, you look at Apple Car, you look at Apple Glass, the AR/VR, which we get released later this year, for a company that no longer innovates. And look, and it just goes back to I would talk to investors when Apple was, let's say, less than $1 trillion, 600 billion. They'd be like, Dan, what type of alcohol do you drink that you think this valuation could be 800 billion, $1 trillion? Because they view it as why can't it be the next Nokia, next BlackBerry? Because they never appreciated the ecosystem, the halo effect, ultimately the services business, and what is the golden goose within Cupertino, and that's the install base, 1.8 billion iOS devices.
Absolutely. So I think we had enough for Apple. Let's move on to Tesla. A few months ago, you were on CNBC News and said that year 2022 could be a golden year for Tesla. Is this still the case? What is your main reason you are so bullish on Tesla share?
I mean, EV is only 3% of automobiles are EVs today. I think we're only in the first stage of this green tidal wave playing out. Tesla in the EV landscape, it's Tesla's world. Everyone else is paying rent from an EV perspective. Look at Berlin, look at Austin. They're further expanding, those muscles on the production perspective. And look, it's a cachet, it's a battery technology, and it's the Musk factor that can't be matched. Others could benefit in EVs. NIO, we love. You look at, Xpeng, others, Ford, GM, VW, but it's not a zero-sum game. I just believe Tesla, they have $25, $30 earnings power next, called 2 to 3 years. That's the potential. That's why we view it base case 1,400.
Elon Musk was saying back in 2020 that they will achieve 20 million cars by 2030. Do you see any chance to achieve that big goal?
I mean, look, they're already doubling capacity this year. So then, by 2025, you're going to be looking annually 3, 4, 5 million. I believe that multiply over then. I mean, look, 20 million obviously is a longer term goal. I think, our view is when you could start to get to 3 to 4 million annually from this year was 900,000 plus. I think that's when the story really starts to take that next leg of growth. And I think that's what the stock's reflecting, in terms of investors seeing the forest for the trees, which you've always had to on Tesla and hand holding through the volatility.
So we still have a long journey ahead. All right. Yesterday, I saw you on Yahoo Finance talking about Elon Musk holding 9.2% of Twitter shares. We have some bad experience from Elon Musk being so wild on Bitcoin and other crypto. Should Tesla shareholders worry about his big move with Twitter?
Look, I mean, it's a pet project of his. Social media, he feels like it's a fragmented space that Twitter could really, I think, change their position, which has been disappointing to investors. No one ever thought in a million years that Musk would be the knight in shining armor for Twitter. But again, it's 2022, so who knows? But look, I think I don't view it negatively for Tesla, for SpaceX. Obviously, it's going to balance a lot of balls. At the same time, I do think what we saw with Bitcoin, crypto, that was a little more of a sideshow. But I think as we've seen with Musk, I mean, his main focus for the coming years is going to be Tesla and SpaceX. And I don't view this negatively that he takes the eye off the ball.
What about the new innovation just introduced to the market, Tesla bot? What do you think about Tesla bot itself?
And that's a longer term play. I think the difference with Apple and Tesla, Apple has projects like that, but they keep it inside Apple Park.
That's right.
They don't release it till it's commercial. Tesla, which is part of the Musk factor, they give glimpses ahead, 2, 3, 4 years of where it could be, which again, that's fine, but I think it's a negative too. Because a lot of investors start to get excited. There's a big debate, who cares? And I think that creates some added noise that maybe you don't need at a time in the biggest supply chain crisis that we've ever seen.
Yeah. But in the long term, it could be another driver to.
It's just like Apple Car. It's another long-term potential driver.
The another sector you always talk about is actually cyber security names, because I can see that you are heavily betting on cloud transformation. Please, can you explain what kind of investment opportunities you see from cyber security names? And also, please let us know on which cyber security companies you have the strongest convictions.
Yeah, cybersecurity. I mean, if we see this shift to the cloud, I mean, we're talking about Microsoft, Amazon, and others. Cybersecurity, you need to protect workloads, cloud endpoints, and more as more companies go to the cloud, cybersecurity is going to see massive growth. I think budgets could double, as a percent. I look at names like Zscaler, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, Tenable, SentinelOne are some of our favorites. I believe cybersecurity spend this year could be about 25%. It's almost 5x IT budget.
But there are so many growth companies now coming into the market because everybody knows it's a big opportunity. Do you see there are too much competition going on? No.
Look, a lot of competition. It's going to be a bit of an arms race. It's fragmented, but also, you could play with a basket of securities. There's ETFs like the Hack ETF, which is ways to play cybersecurity. But in my opinion, I believe this is going to be a subsector that significantly outperforms broader tech in the coming years.
Certainly. All right. Here's my very last question. Actually, no, I have another one. So it's a second last. If you have to choose only one stock to invest for now, which company would you go for? I know you have so many big names you prefer. Yeah.
If there is one, again, which of your kids do you love the best? But it's like, it would be Tesla. Just because my view of electric vehicles, the biggest changes to the auto industry transformation since 1950s, and where Tesla sits, I believe if there's one, it's Tesla.
Fantastic. Great choice then. I agree. For your information, Tesla is my number one holding stock.
See, I knew that before. No, I'm joking. But the point is, look, it just speaks to my view. Like when I go back to Apple, there were so many things undiscovered when it went from 300 billion to 3 trillion. Microsoft, when Nadella took over, stocks 30 to 40, it was a cloud transformation that ultimately led it to be a 10 bagger to 300. Tesla's had an unbelievable move, historic, but I don't believe it's done. I think it's really a company that's going to really change not just the auto industry, but especially when you think from an overall energy sector, and must lead in the charge.
Just one more question I would like to ask. It's not actually a question. I want to hear your advice, the words of wisdom as a investor who stayed in the market for a long period. Most of my subscribers in Korea, they are quite new because in Korea, stock investment was considered as risky thing, something similar to gambling. So just recently, people jump into the stock market from year 2020. So they don't have much experience, and many of them find it very difficult to go through this bear market, which happened just now for last few months. Do you have any advice for them to make their investment more successful for the long term?
Sure. Well, first off, like it's relative to the risk profile. If you can't sleep at night because of your losses or how much you're losing, then sell the stock and you'll sleep better. Like I'm saying, it's relative to your risk profile. And I think you have to understand that there's going to be ups and downs and volatility, but you got to do a lot of work on the names to really understand the risks, but the fundamental stories. A lot of times when you navigate through some of the failures, that's where the successes are. And I think it's everyone doing their own due diligence on these companies. And I think as you could see my dogs, like this is actually a big passion for them. They feel really strongly about this area, which is why they're barking.
Great. Okay, thank you so much for your sharing your wisdom then. And also thank you so much for your straightforward and clear answers to my question today. I really appreciate it.
No, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hope we will have another opportunity to hear from you in the near future. So thank you for your
I
time
look
today.
forward to that.
Thank you. Thank you. And please take care.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you.